Dear colleagues, Namaste and welcome to this module on blended teaching learning process. After completion of this module, the learners will be able to define blended learning and list its advantages, identify various modes of blended teaching learning process, apply strategies of blended teaching learning process for enhancing learning outcomes, and design suitable blended teaching learning strategy. Now, let's see what is blended teaching learning process. We have already seen what is face-to-face learning and how we can have online teaching learning process. Both types of learning have their own advantages, and when we consider the advantages of both these techniques and combine them, then the area which we get is called as blended learning. Therefore, blended learning is the combination of online learning as well as face-to-face learning. Now it's a time to think and reflect on the question, what are the advantages of traditional and online teaching learning process? Pause the video, think on it, and record your answers. Once you have recorded your answers, you can play this video. Dear colleagues, you know that we can have online teaching learning process by using technology, and it offers the advantages of mobility. You can watch the online material or online videos from anywhere at any time. So mobility is possible. The structure is there because we have videos as well as we can conduct some quizzes or activities. Then we can track the progress of the students and we can control the students' progress. The students can do the self-study. The online technology reduces the cost of teaching learning process, and there is the global reach to online teaching learning process. But only online process cannot guarantee the proper learning outcomes, and therefore if you consider human intervention in face-to-face learning, the advantage is the motivation. The motivation of learning can be given only by teacher. The teachers can have the personalized attention to individual students. Teacher can give the feedback for achieving higher learning outcomes in the students. It is a teacher who can listen to the queries of the students. The course becomes relevant because of the teachers who are teaching it, and the discipline is brought about by the teachers. Therefore, we have both advantages of face-to-face learning process as well as on online learning process. So if we blend these two, face-to-face and online learning, then what we get is blended teaching learning process, and this can be defined as teaching learning process in which a student learns at least in part through online delivery of content and instruction with some element of student control over time, place, path and or pace, and at least in part they are joining the face-to-face interaction. Now in this definition, the time, place, path and pace, these are important because student himself chooses at what time he wants to learn, from what place he wants to learn, what is the best mode of learning he wants to choose, and at what pace he should learn. Therefore, in short, blended teaching learning process is the process in which online learning plus face-to-face learning happens. Now, let us see the advantages of blended teaching learning process. The first advantage, it increases access and flexibility for learners because there is online delivery of instruction. Student can choose time, place, path and pace, and therefore they have the choice. Teachers can facilitate learning by using this technique. Second advantage is it increases level of active learning, because when the activities are conducted in the classroom, the student engagement is more. The student can learn individually as well as there will be a collaborative learning. Therefore, active learning increases. The third advantage, the student experiences and student learning outcomes are better achieved, because student apply the knowledge already gained and do the activities, and they start to apply higher order thinking skills, and therefore better learning outcomes are achieved. The fourth advantage is it brings social interaction. Students learn through interaction with teachers, with students, and even the peer-to-peer learning is happening in this process. The fifth advantage is it offers more flexibility and better time management for teachers, because in a lecture, the teacher is delivering a lecture and his interaction with the student is not happening. But here, as his lecture is delivered online, the teacher gets the full lecture to arrange some activities and to interact with students. He can spend time and facilitate learning individually, and he can apply better active learning strategies. The sixth advantage, it's cost effective because it saves the resources and learning space. The performance assessment of the students can be done in the classroom itself, because teacher is observing individually the student's performance, and it gives fun to the student while learning. And therefore, there are many of advantages of blended teaching learning process. So let us see which are the blended learning modes or models which are used. So you can see this is a face-to-face, which can also be called as a brick and mortar type of learning, and online learning. It is blended here. So we have four models: rotation model, flex model, a la carte model, and enriched virtual model. In case of rotation model, we have station rotation model, lab rotation model, flipped classroom model, and individual rotation model. Let us go to the rotation model. When we consider rotation model, the first part is the content is delivered online, where the assessment is embedded one, but the online content is useful for remembering and understanding. And the second part is of teacher instruction, where he ensures that higher order thinking skills are applied by the students during the activity. So applying and analyzing part is taken care of. The third part is the assignment of project and group learning to the students, whereby evaluating and creating of the new knowledge can happen. And therefore, in a rotation model, it is possible to achieve higher order thinking skills. So let's go to the various rotation models. The first one is the station rotation model, where the students are grouped into various groups. The group 1 is given maybe an online learning. Group 2 is engaged by a teacher in a face-to-face interaction, while group 3 is having an individual as well as collaborative type of learning. Now, these groups are rotated for various stations. Now this group 1, which was having the online instruction, will go for collaborative learning. Then they will be shifting to another station of face-to-face interaction. So in case of station rotation, the groups are rotated with various stations. Now let us go to another rotation model, that is a lab rotation, where the students are having instruction into various classes and they go to the lab for learning. Lab rotation model differs from the station rotation model because students rotate among locations on the campus instead of staying in one classroom for the blended course or subject. The third model is flipped classroom model. You can see this is a traditional lecture setting where the student read over materials before class, and during class they listen to a lecture, and after class the students attempt the homework. But in flipped classroom, it is totally a reversal takes place. So the students can see the video lecture of a teacher before class, and in during class they practice applying key concepts what they have learnt in a lecture, and after class students check understanding and extend learning to more complex situations. So in a flipped classroom model, you will see that the lower levels like remembering, understanding, applying, which are covered in classroom during traditional classroom model, we assign homework to the students for achieving, analyzing, evaluating and creating, that is higher side of Bloom's level. But in flipped classroom, the students achieve this remembering, understanding, applying at home by listening the video lectures, and in classroom they collaborate with the instructors and the students to achieve higher level learning. Therefore, flipped classroom model is one of the most important model which is used nowadays. Now let us go to the fourth model, that is individual rotation model. This model differs from the other rotation models because students do not necessarily rotate to each available station or modality. They take their own choice whether to attend the seminar or to have a group discussion or to attend the direct instruction or be present for the group projects or take some counseling from personal trainer. Now let us go to another model, that is a flex model. Flex model is a program in which content and instruction are delivered primarily by the internet. Students move on individually customized fluid schedule among learning modalities and the teacher of the record. So the student learn through the collaborative spaces, in the collaboration rooms, or they can go to the instructor in the lab or for the instruction. And here the important one is whenever they feel like going and meeting a teacher, then only they will go, or otherwise they will prefer for internet based learning models. Now let us go to another model which is also called as La Carte model or self-blend model. Here in case of self-blend model, here the students get the instructions in the classes, but the online course they can join from the NPTEL or whatever the online resources they are available. The school or college is not giving this type of facility, but apart from online instruction, online courses, the student can be present for the lectures in the college, and therefore the self-blend model is the choice done by the student. It is not compulsory from the college to learn online. Now, the next model is an enriched virtual classroom model where mostly the online instruction and content is delivered. The students are at home, and whenever they will feel some difficulty, they can come to the college, and then they can attend some face-to-face. Here the teacher can solve their queries, but most of the time they are learning through virtual classroom model. Now, with all these models learned, now let us go towards design of blended learning. When we are designing blended learning, it should be a backward integration. You can see the first you have to design the learning outcomes, what the student should be able to do. Then you have to go for assessment strategy, that how you are going to assess whether the students have learnt or not. And then you can go to design of learning activities which you are going to do in the classroom, and then you can design your learning instruction. Choose the suitable model as per your requirement. Thank you and happy learning.